Welcome to the Winning with Shopify podcast. This is the podcast to help you scale your Shopify store into a money-making machine. Tired of watching customers drift away after one purchase? Then it's time to rocket your returning customer rates and drive 6 times more second purchases with Loyalty Lion. Create your own loyalty program and use points and rewards to keep customers coming back again and again. Want to find out more? Loyalty Lion are offering WWS listeners an exclusive 20% discount on the first year of any plan. To claim your free offer, go to loyaltylion.com/win. Now, over to your host, Nick Truman.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Winning with Shopify podcast. If anyone's not tuned in or you missed last week's episode, I'll say it again, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. It is officially the future now. And we've got a very exciting year ahead on the podcast. We're making some big changes. We've got a few big announcements. I've been talking about those for a long time, but they will actually come into fruition shortly. We're also planning, just so you're aware, everybody listening, we're planning a whole range of how-to videos, little tip videos and stuff to go out on YouTube as well. Probably not for a month or two, but if you haven't already, check out the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. And also, if you're like me and you're a bit more of a visual person rather than an audible person, then check out the YouTube channel because you can actually watch this and see who my guests are. Sometimes it's quite fun when you're listening to a podcast. Try and picture what you think the guests look like and what I look like. Go and check it out on YouTube and see what happens. But yeah, check out our YouTube channel. We're also posting quite a lot on Instagram at the moment. Our audience and there's growing really healthily, which is very exciting. We've also got lots of webinars coming up this year as well. So if you haven't, go to winningwithshopify.com, subscribe to our email list to hear about webinars. I'll be flagging some of them on here, but we're doing one pretty much a month from my search consultancy, so PPC SEO consultancy that I run as well, which is very exciting. Anyway, enough about me. Let's come on to today's episode. So today we're continuing our series about loyalty programs. Now, one of the biggest things that I've realized since the last episode last week is Shopify loyalty program is one of the most searched keywords on Google alongside the word Shopify, which is quite interesting. It means that you guys need to get a good loyalty program. It means that you're all desperate to do that. And Loyalty Line is a great opportunity to do that. As you probably heard in the intro, and we're going to hear more today from one of the team at Loyalty Line as well. So without further ado, let me introduce Jason from Loyalty Line. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, Jason. And as we do with all of our guests, most people have probably never heard of you or never seen your face, or they might have if they're a Loyalty Line customer already, but a lot of our audience won't be. So why don't you give us a quick overview just to your background before you joined Loyalty Line and what you do at Loyalty Line now, what your role involves?
Yeah, of course. So I actually started in onboarding in hospitality tech. And then a couple of years ago now, moved over to the e-commerce side. So yeah, I've been in onboarding for fair few years now.
Nice.
Onboarded a lot of programs, and yeah, currently Loyalty Line senior onboarding manager.
Nice. And when you say onboarding, to some of us, we're like, oh yeah, sweet, setting something up. Tell us a bit more about what onboarding actually is, certainly from a merchant's point of view.
Yeah, so I guess first things is as soon as you join or Loyalty Line, you'll get an onboarding manager. So I might be myself. What we're here to do is to make your loyalty program a reality. So any ideas you've got, any ideas that we can give you, but also working on the back end stuff. So making sure that it makes sense commercially, it's going to be sustainable going in the future. And then we kind of work with all the other bits as well. So all the integrations, the emails, which we'll talk about in a bit. And get it on the website as well.
Nice. And obviously, if somebody signs up with any tool, not just Loyalty Line, but any tool across the board, one of the worst things is you get a tool and you go, okay, I'm using it for the one thing I know it does, and that's it. But I'm paying for it. I could be using more for the same price. And obviously, from your perspective at Loyalty Line, you want to make sure people use the tool for as long as possible and get the most out of it. So I guess let's not get any negative scenarios because that's not a good way to start an episode. But what are some of the most important things people should think about when they're launching a new loyalty program or moving from one loyalty platform to another like yours?
Yeah, so I guess just kind of figuring out what kind of system you would like in place. We live in a world where sometimes, discounting could be a good way of bringing new customers in, but obviously some people do want to stray away from discounting and go for more of like a experiential offering. So it's really kind of what system you would like in place. And obviously we'll work with you to try and see, can that be a reality? How would we make that a reality? So kind of having an idea of what you'd like to offer, how is it going to fit in with your brand narrative? And then we'll work on the actual how do we fit it into the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always take the approach of writing a brief, even if the brief's rubbish. At least we, as the, I guess we'll be the client in this situation. So we're asking you guys or anybody else, okay, look, this is what we think we want. This is where we think the challenges are at the moment, the problems, why we're looking to move loyalty platforms, or actually what we think is the issue with not having one at the moment. Or when we launch one, we're really nervous. We want to just start with a small percentage of our customers as a test, as like a VIP kind of some sort of focus group to begin with, people that buy regularly say, look, we're going to test this and we'd like you to be involved, and here's what's in it for you. That's a really good brief for you guys, I imagine, because then you can go, right, here's how we're going to set it up and how we can make the tech sort of support that.
Yeah, of course. And it really helps teaching people the functionality as well. So if you came to me with that brief, I'll be like, okay, you need to use feature X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how we make that a reality. This is how you can use it, and also educate people how you use loyalty line. So if you've got anything else you'd like to test in the future, you already know what features that we've got in play to do so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one thing that it actually came from my uncle, who's now retired. I know you listen to this sometimes, Richard, and used to be my FD. So hello. I've never given him a shout out after all these years. But he always used to say to me that you only get out of supply what you put in. And I think one of the things that I get guilty of, and I know lots of merchants listening here as well, you always say to me, like, I've only got so much time and I have to decide where to put that time in. But on the flip side of that, it's you only get out of supply what you put in. So if you're going to work with Loyalty Line or anybody, whether it's your e-commerce agency, your loyalty program, your email provider, we're going to talk about email bit today as well. Whoever it is, the more you put into that, the more you're going to get out. I think the worst thing as a supplier, and I've sat on that side of the fence a lot more than I've sat on the client side. The worst thing is when you're sitting here going, I just don't get it. I don't get what they're trying to achieve. There's so much more value I could give them as an individual, and we as an organization could provide if we knew more about it. So I guess a good question then. I said we're not going to start on a negative, but let's go down that road for a second. Like anyone that's thinking of launching a new loyalty program, what are some of the things that they should avoid? Some of the certainly where you guys have seen merchants misunderstanding how to do it, they've done it wrong, and worst case scenario. I don't know if you've got any examples of this or any sort of do's and don'ts, but where they've actually annoyed customers, trying to offer a customer more, and you've actually end up annoying them.
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I come across is trying to be too ambitious for your first launch. So normally like want all the bells, all the whistles, and then you look at the timeline of how long it actually takes to launch a loyalty program, and we're looking like 4 months in the future, in which case your customers aren't going to be getting anything for 4 months, and you're going to be working on it for 4 months. So I'm very much a advocate for let's get something out that's simple, test the waters, see how your customers respond. If your customers want more of X, well, we've just saved ourselves like 3 months where we can actually go in and put those features in. So I'd recommend going out with a simple version fast and then work on it. It's not something that you're ever going to launch just once. Like you were saying, the more you put in, the more you get out. Loyalty program needs to be something that's going to evolve over time because your customers are going to evolve over time. So only makes sense.
I like the idea of keeping it simple. I think some loyalty programs, you look at them and the worst thing as a customer is you get to the end of a period of time and go, I think I've spent enough now. Like, where's my freebie? And then they're like, nope, you didn't qualify. And you're like, what? No, I've put all this time in it. I've spent like £1,000 on stuff I probably don't need. And you're not even giving me the discount now. Like, I'm off. And also I'm going to tell everybody how bad it was. What's a good example of something you would test early on, or what the sort of things you generally test as a campaign execution within loyalty?
Oh, there's a couple of things. So we can test people's appetites for referrals. Obviously, if we want to have referrals, some brands have a thriving referral network. Some people don't. It just kind of depends on the territory. So we can test that out. We can also have with our tiers feature, we could have people like not really A/B testing, but you can definitely put people into like a VIP group and you can release it a little bit early for them to really see, are they appreciating the loyalty program? Do they understand the loyalty program? And, if your top customers are maybe not quite getting it, then cool. When you go for the full release, then you can, rejig it a little bit. You can kind of put more education stuff out there. You can put more stuff over email. And then when you do the wide release, everyone should be on the same platform. Everyone will be on the same boat.
Yeah, nice. And when you say referral as well, you and I know what that means. Explain a referral program to someone that's like, I'm new, never done this.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, it's just within Loyalty Line's loyalty program, you also get a referral piece. So you can award points in this case, or you can do other things as well. Yeah, you can award points for other customers bringing in new business, bringing in their own friends, family, whoever they share their referral code with.
I do love the refer a friend. Like whenever someone's saying like, "Oh, what phone network are you with?" or something, I'm always like, "Whoa, wait! Like we could get 20 quid each here." Like, and it's a nice little bonus, isn't it? Or that pays your phone bill for the month, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's nice to get that sort of thing. But as I say, I think one thing you mentioned really early on that I think is really key as well as we go through this, just for everybody listening, is you need to make sure it's relevant to, as Jason said, to your customer journey and where it fits in. Just because some guy at the pub is making £1 million off Facebook advertising through referral discounts or something on his loyalty line plan doesn't mean you're going to. You need to look at your product and I guess, Jason, how much do you encourage your merchants and people you're talking to with on a daily basis with the onboarding process? How much do you recommend they actually do focus groups, talk to customers, or run surveys and get information from customers to find out? I mean, if you could ask a customer, like, what loyalty program should we run? That'd be lovely, but they're not going to answer that very well. So, what kind of questions should you be asking? And how much do you see brands doing better when they have that narrative with a select group of customers?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I always recommend talking to customers either before you get into the loyalty program or at least like maybe like 3-6 months after the loyalty program's been launched, just to be like, hey, how are you finding the loyalty program? How are you
Mm.
interacting with it? You can go down like the practical questions as well, just being like, how are you finding using it?
Yep.
Is there anything we can do to increase the make it a little bit easier on the experience level? But also, like, what do you want to see from the loyalty program? Like, do you want to get any more benefits? What is going to make you as a customer more loyal to me, my brand? Like, what is going to make you keep coming back? Because
Mm.
ultimately, loyalty programs are here for retention. We
Yep.
want to keep customers, and obviously the best way of doing that is making them happy. Loyalty program could be a way of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said could as well, because it's not for everybody. I think for some brands, it's like, so I'm thinking in my head like more of a sort of luxury premium brand. It's just your loyalty program is you pick up the phone, we answer, and we have a conversation with you, and we send you free samples to test, to play with. We send you like 10 items, knowing you only want one, you send the other nine back. There's all that kind of sort of super premium when you're paying crazy money for things, crazy in most of our eyes. With the questions, you just reminded me of actually a really good survey I did ages ago. And these were like kind of market research surveys. And I ended up as an agency owner being asked like about advertising platforms, what Google's doing, what Facebook's doing, etc. And quite often I'd go through it trying to work out like who's actually running this survey, because they'd never tell you. And they'd go, right, here are 10 brands. Which one do you work with on a daily basis? Which ones would you work with more if you knew more about them? And you don't know you're trying to work out which one of them, like, is it Snapchat? Is it Google? Is it Spotify? Whatever. And I remember one that the penny suddenly dropped so much because they asked a really smart question. And I was like, it's obviously Spotify running this. Spotify, they said something, and this is going to be a bit of a plug for Spotify because it was such a good question. They asked on this market research survey, did you know that if you sent a script into Spotify, we would record your radio ad for you and publish it? And I'm like, well, there's an advert, isn't it? Like, I didn't know Spotify did that, but there we go. And I told like 10 other people, do you know they did that? And they're like, no. He's like, I've never done Spotify advertising. It's like, maybe we should try it. Like, but it's really powerful. So I think the questions themselves, you could even send them to people aren't using the loyalty process. We're going to give you X if you fill out our survey. And the survey's like, have you used our new loyalty feature to refer a friend and gain this? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could get that. That's good. I want that. And you're like, although I've done the survey, yeah, I'll go and introduce somebody. Or actually, yeah, my neighbor was asking me who I'm with at the moment. Right. Well, I'll get a loyalty bonus and introduce them through a referral code or something. So I think there can be some really powerful questions to ask. And I love what you were saying actually, just about like you do it before to find out what sort of loyalty program should we launch, and then also checking in with them. And I think everything from the tech to how it's working. How much of a direction change do you find it can be after getting the answer to that question?
So yeah, I mean, when we kind of sit down, like as soon as you start the onboarding, we kind of sit down and we go through the back end of everything. And what we try and do is just create like a good foundation. Now, the foundation might not change too much.
Hmm.
It's everything from that. So how it looks, how it sounds, how it feels. You can pretty much go in a couple of different directions with that. What we try and do just to make onboarding a lot easier, which means you can get a faster launch, means you can get a better launch, is when you come in, we kind of have like a rough idea of where we want to end up in there. and we try and push that at the end, try and make it as perfect to that brief as possible.
Nice.
Obviously, if you do halfway through do a customer survey and they come in like, actually, we want, ABC instead of XYZ. Cool. Okay, we can pivot, but we try and get that foundation to remain the same.
Yeah.
In there.
Nice. Hey, it's a good way of doing it. Makes a lot of sense. And do you have a favorite loyalty program you've launched recently? Is there anything that stands out that you're like, do you know what? That one was just brilliant. And if yes, why? Why was that one so good?
I've worked with a couple recently that have been really good. Sisters and Seekers. They've got a really cool loyalty program based on like college houses. So depending on what tier you go into like a college house, which is really cool.
Yeah. A bit like kind of Hogwarts, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like frats, sorority, that kind of thing. It's really good. And then UK Lash, their program's like really clean. Like it just goes on it. It just looks really good. And I think my overall favorite as a couple of years, this one is Inky List. I think that they just do a really, really good job. It's all housed in the account section, so it just makes sense from like a user experience journey. It's all where you want it to be. And again, really clean, Inky List. The kind of design is really, really nice in there.
Yeah, nice. What we'll do, everybody listening, is we'll get links from Jason after we finish recording this, and we'll put them in the description, so you can go and actually have a look at their loyalty programs, or go and buy a product and sign up to the loyalty program afterwards to actually see them working. Because I love that. I mean, 3 really good executions, and all 3 you were smiling and making me smile at the same time. Like, this isn't, and I think that the point being really is it doesn't have to be dry, does it? It's not just here are some points, here's 10% off, now you're a customer, which some of our clients do, and if you're listening, you know who you are. We need to work on marketing. I'm going to write a book on this one day. I think it's like marketing's been lost from digital marketing. It's become my catchphrase. And everything you've just described, Jason, is marketing. It's actually kind of capturing something and getting people going, oh, that's fun. Isn't that fun? Or isn't that brilliant? Or isn't that relevant to me? Or isn't that something actually I want to use as a customer? And I think it must be such a game changer for you guys, and it is for us as an agency. Like when a client comes up with something and you're like, oh, that's good. That's fun.
Yeah, well, it's brilliant because number one, helps me with examples all the time. But second part is, it goes back to, again, what you were saying before. They put a lot into the onboarding, and now they're getting a lot out of it. And it's those loyalty programs. It really does differentiate between anyone else in the market. Because you keep going back, because you keep using the loyalty programs because they're just really easy to use, and it seems like part of their brand, rather than something that they've just kind of slapped onto the side.
Yeah. And certainly in my world of SEO, we always want to build links, and it's a lot easier to build links. I can vouch for this with my years of experience. If you've got a good story to go out with. So Google wants links because more links coming in, the more it's like, hey, this is a cool site. Go and check those guys out, which might be davesTshirtshop.com or whatever. But having a story you can take to PR is really key. So actually launching the 4 houses is awesome. It's like, say there was like I don't know, if they're in the beauty space, for example, there's loads of beauty publications online, beauty magazines, and, what are the celebrities doing, style guides, how-tos, even magazines you find in like hair salons and stuff all across the world. So there's so many opportunities actually to get featured in them and say, hey, we've launched this awesome thing, and the advert or the publication or the piece we want in your publication is actually saying like, which house are you? We want to challenge people. Which house would you fit into? And it's like, oh, that's fun. And who wasn't at school at one point when it was like all schools I don't know if they did this in the US, but in the UK, we're all broken into houses, and you're constantly trying to earn points, which is actually a way of getting the kids to behave with a small, and there's no prize at the end. It's just respect. It's just like, oh, so-and-so house won. But yeah, it's normally like the founders of the school or something of their names, literally like on Hogwarts, which is cool. So I think that can massively help. But one thing I didn't talk at all with Fiona about last week, and I know is really, really important to this, is a lot of the loyalty program, you're going to communicate through email, aren't you? So having a good integration to your email system, and I know we're going to talk a bit about Klaviyo today, or Clavio, somebody called it the other day, whatever you pronounce it. But we've also had Seguno on the show previously. We've worked with Omnisend and a whole range of other email platforms. So we're going to talk about Klaviyo, but this isn't just for Klaviyo. This is for any email provider that you guys can plug in with, especially if they're working with Shopify. Where does email come into play? Where does it go wrong? Where do we need to be thinking about actually using email properly to communicate all of the stuff we've spoken about so far to customers?
Yeah, I mean, I can't overstate how important email is in this. You could have the best platform in the world, your best loyalty program in the world, but if you don't have it connected to email, or you're not shouting about it on email, it kind of loses its mouthpiece. So you're not really getting it out there. So no one will know about it. So most importantly, as well as no one will know when to interact with the loyalty program until they come back to the website, and that's kind of out of your control. So by using email and your loyalty program, you kind of number one, educating people about it, letting people know, hey, we have a loyalty program, which is a reason to sign up.
Yep.
And then once they're in the loyalty program and they're active, when should they come back and make use of their loyalty benefits or their points or discounts or whatever it is? Otherwise, you're just kind of relying on luck there. And, we've got a very saturated marketplace. Sometimes I'd send out an email and be like, hey, you've got this, come back and use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest killers of marketing is lifetime value. Not enough brands get enough from lifetime value. And what's better than loyalty? I mean, it's it's written on the tin that it's like, I'm a loyal customer because you've got a good loyalty program. And what are some of the executions of that then? Like, what are some of the emails you could send to people that let's start with the people that aren't on the loyalty program but have purchased, for example. What are some of the executions of an email you could send to those guys to get them to engage?
Yeah, so the one thing I recommend for everyone is a good post-purchase flow. Just saying like, hey, we've got a loyalty program, just in case you didn't know. If you come back, sign up, you'll be added to the loyalty program. You'll get your points for your purchase, and that can go towards discounts, products, experience, whatever it is you want to offer. But loyalty program, we need to get people in the door to make it as valuable as possible. Best part of that is when they're at the very peak of their interest, they've just made a purchase. So making sure that they come back and make an account at that point. So that would be for your your guest customers. That'd be the best way to kind of draw them in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a real challenge here, isn't there? Of everybody wants the cleanest, simplest website with the simplest user journey. And then you want to add all this value to your customer, which takes up space, going, you're going to become one of our favorite customers because look at all our reviews. You're going to join this loyalty program. You're going to get a free sample if you spend over £100 of, let's face it, a more expensive product than the one you've bought. So you come back and buy a more expensive one, etc. So there's all this stuff you want to get across. I mean, free delivery is another one. Pay 0% on finance with Klarna or something. So you've got all these different options of sending stuff through, which going back to your very first point, I think actually getting a piece of paper, and I've done this with quite a lot of clients, map out the journey. Like, what are people doing right now? Is there any data to tell us what is the average flow? And also, if you use the right tool, like you can do this with a spreadsheet and a kind of funnel visualization of it, or you can use Google Looker Studio to do this kind of thing using GA data, but make a funnel that is relative to how many people actually go through that bit. So like, how many impressions have we had on all of our campaigns to then web traffic, sales, repeat sales, etc. And then start adding in all these little steps in the middle of like, how many products did they view? How many did they add to cart? How many times did they come to the website before they purchased? And work out, where does the funnel suddenly shrink, like suddenly die? And if you find that you're only getting 4 or 5% of people purchasing a second time, loyalty's for you, emails for you, or you need a better product. People aren't coming back because the product's not good enough. You're not getting complaints, but especially if you're in the UK, let's face it, we're all a bit too polite here. If a product's bad, we don't always send it back. We're like, oh, I just won't buy it again. Like in a restaurant, if the food's not great, the British person rarely says, this is crap. They sometimes just sort of say to their partner, like, it's not great, but I'll just eat it and pay for it anyway. It's like, so yeah, I think you want to look at those kind of things for sure. But let's look at post-purchase. Like, what do you put into a flow? Like, would you remind people how many points they've earned? Would you give people a target and go, you've got 600 points, you get 1,000, you get one of these? Like, how do you get people to engage?
With the specifically Klaviyo integration, we do have an events piece available for our plus plans and as an add-on for everyone else. And with that events piece, we can send specific triggers to Klaviyo whenever a customer performs a certain action.
Nice.
So, if they refer somebody, if they go over a threshold for a reward, if they've claimed a reward, we'll be able to ping out, a trigger where you can start to flow. Now, the key one is when somebody has a reward available. So they've earned enough points where they go over the threshold to get a reward. That is like such a good time to then email that customer and be like, hey, you've got $5 off, or hey, you've got £10 off.
Yep.
Because like we all get so many emails every day. And we only really open the ones that we're most interested in. It's the ones where, we're expect like something that was a result of us doing something, like order confirmations, deliveries, or something where we could get something back.
Yep.
And that kind of ticks that box where it is something that you've done, you have earned enough points, and you also get like $5, you get £5 off. So it kind of ticks both of those boxes.
Yeah, nice.
Having that flow and having those emails going out, really, really strong conversion, very strong open rates, very strong click-through rates. And that is going to be a real revenue driver using the loyalty program.
I think that, I mean, once someone's got a reward, it's like a no-brainer to get them back in the site to use it. Because if your site's set up really well, and let's just take a very stereotypical site here and say it's set up well, we've got quite a lot of products, which means you can have like product recommendations going on. So you could even put those in the loyalty email going, here are some things you could buy. It's free. It's on us. Like a subject line going, your next product's on us. And these are some things you could buy for free, or your exclusive discount. And then saying like, you've got enough loyalty points, or some sort of champion thing, like with 1,000 points and a big gold star going like, you've achieved it. Well done. And it's almost gamified now. It's like you've completed the final level, like you've done it, come use it. But then when they're in the site, now there's an opportunity for upsells, cross sells, that whole post-purchase flow starts again. When they use their loyalty points, do they get some sort of boost to get started from zero again? There's all these little things that you can do that are so small and tactical. And I know you said at the start, and we did a whole piece on this, Fiona and I, last week as well, about discounts aren't the only option. And I think it's quite powerful actually to, with discounts for a second, it's quite powerful to look at what's your cost of acquisition for a new customer across. It's easy just to look in Google ads or Meta ads or something and go, right, it's costing me $50 to get a new customer in. Sweet, that's done. But actually, it's a whole nother thing then to work out what's my business run rate and everything else, to go, what's my actual margin after product, advertising channel, agencies, internal staff, warehouse, the lot. And then go, all right, it's probably that $50 I'm paying to Google. It's probably more like 70 or 100 or something that I'm paying out to acquire that customer. So actually, if I'm giving them $20 off almost every order thereafter, it's the cheapest customer I've ever acquired. And as I said earlier about lifetime value, if people buy multiple times without the acquisition cost, you're kind of winning. So how much do you find that clients of yours are very specific, going like, this is the most we can give away to still make it super profitable, compared to like, do you set benchmarks and targets for, we can't discount more than that, or actually we can give this instead of a discount?
Yeah, of course. So when you first start onboarding, one of the foundational things we look at is the cashback equivalency of the whole program. Cool. So say if I put, £10 into your business, how much am I going to get back in terms of value? So we work around, the percentages, whatever works best, with you, like you're saying, your overheads, how much margin you've got on certain products as well. And we'll normally kind of cap that. It could be for a baseline customer, like anywhere from like 5%, something like that. So we know that whenever a customer in the loyalty program spends, there is the obviously capability that they'll come back and use that 5% in there. That can obviously change. We have tier systems where, if you want to do like a bronze, silver, gold, maybe gold's in like 10%, more loyal customers to get more bang for the buck, that kind of thing. But yeah, we always try and keep it pretty strict so that, anyone in the loyalty program, right, you've got that little 5% potential built into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw a really good execution of loyalty about a year ago, which I'll share now. I can't remember the name of the brand. And anyone who listens to the podcast knows I'm awful at this. I come across so many brands and they're great, and I never write them down or remember them because there's always another one that catches my attention. I'm very short attention span. But there's a brand here in the UK called John Lewis, and they do a great loyalty program, which is you get a free newspaper and a free coffee in store if you spend, I think it's like either 300 or 500 pounds a year with them, which they sell everything from like washing machines to luxury clothes to cheap clothes to everything. But they're quite they market themselves as quite a luxury brand. But you get this free coffee, free newspaper. But where do you get that? In the store. So you go in the store and then you're like, right, I'm here now, and here's all the stuff they're pushing, especially if it's Christmas. They've got Christmas lights everywhere. They'll always have an enormous Christmas tree. Like they go all out at Christmas. And one of the best TV adverts in the UK is John Lewis. So they do that. So I saw a brand recently, a clothing brand, say like, if you order from us this week, or if you spend a certain amount or whatever, you get a free coffee and a free newspaper. And I was like, what? And what they do is they give you a Deliveroo code to order a coffee to be delivered to you, or they give you a QR code to go into a certain coffee chain in the UK and get a free coffee. I was like, that's a really nice touch. And a coffee's cost them what, £3.50. But if they organise that coffee with the chain will probably give them a discount. Go, it's £1.50 per coffee if you buy like 20,000 coffees, and you can have them all made at different branches, or whatever. So it's £1.50 to acquire a sale. But it's just such a nice touch, isn't it? Going like, oh yeah, I'll be near one of their stores on Saturday. I'll go and get it free. So I thought it was a really nice way actually of going. Actually, we're not a big high street retail brand like John Lewis. We don't have our own big department stores with cafes and everything else. We're just online, but here's how we could bring everybody, free coffee if you order this week. And it's like, yeah, I want a free coffee, even though the actual cost of it's quite minimal. It's the whole fun and excitement of the campaign that I thought was quite a nice execution of it.
Yeah, I might have to borrow that one. Nice one.
It is good. The other one we do as well, if you want to borrow this, and anybody listening, it's not merchant side, or you do any kind of B2B transactions, whether it's, wholesale goods or whatever. We make a point of always taking donuts and asking for people's coffee orders before we turn up at meetings. And we turn up, especially we check that there's a coffee place near them, but we turn up to the meeting with all of that because it's all sensory, isn't it? You like buying sensory things. So they remember the lovely Krispy Kreme donuts and the Starbucks coffee and whatever that we bought with us. And then a big box of chocolates that stays on the desk. So for the next 2 or 3 days, their meeting room or their office has got a big box of chocolates they're all just snacking from, going, oh, these are from that SEO agency we spoke to. Like, and we win pitches. It's all part of the big package. So certainly the sensory stuff I think does work. But anyway, bringing it back to email. Say the other thing I guess we do a lot with on email, and you mentioned this earlier on as well, is segmentation. What are some of the ways we need to segment based on loyalty emails going out then?
Yeah, so I think when I hear segmentation, I always kind of whenever I'm looking in Klaviyo, the segments that I'd normally go for are nice and easy. Are they in the loyalty program or are they not? So are they in? And we need to keep them up to date with campaigns about what's happening in the loyalty program, or are they not in it yet? And we've got potential to kind of bring them into the loyalty program.
Yep.
Second one is we've got a feature called tiers, which is a really good way of kind of setting boundaries or thresholds. Like, how much you've either spent or how much you've earned.
Yep.
And that will put you in a certain tier. So with that segmentation, you can theoretically kind of see like who are your most loyal customers and who are your newer customers who kind of maybe need a little bit more nurturing in order to get to that level. Now with those tiers, so easy to put in benefits because you've got those segments. So if you wanted to do, I'm not trying to think of things where it's not going to cost you guys any money to run these benefits, but early access to sales, it's a big one. I know, trying to get some attention for a sale. You can say gold customers get 2 days early access. Then you can just you've got a segment within Klaviyo, you can start a campaign, and obviously you've got those customers already predefined in there. Or you can do like early access to a new drop as well, trying to get some attention about a new product release, and right, 2 days early access gold, have you fill in there. So that's the kind of segmentation I would recommend, and some benefits that you can include with that segmentation as well.
Yeah. I saw a case study the other day, and these guys, it was so cheeky, but works so well as a tactic. They did a product launch, similar thing to what you were saying about like they launched it to certain people, but they did a survey beforehand to all customers and said, we're thinking of launching one of these 3 products. If we launched a new product, which one should we launch? And underneath, tell us why. And what they did is they actually, whichever one you ticked, you ended up in that segmentation, and they launched all 3 products and splashed product A to group A, product B to group B. And then they put all 3 on the site anyway, going, hey, let's check out our new range. But I was like, that is so smart. Because then it's like because then the email literally said, you voted for this new pair of shoes or whatever. It's here and here's 30% off. As a thank you for helping us with our customer feedback. So you're like, they've taken my opinion seriously. They've given me a discount as a thank you for my opinion. And they've launched the thing that I wanted. Oh, fantastic. Even though there were 3 options, they're probably sitting in the warehouse ready anyway. But I thought it was such a good execution of like, just gamifying and making marketing exciting. I mean, there's a whole psychology behind what I call retail therapy, which is quite a well-known term. But I've kind of grabbed that as the way I like to explain it. Of everyone likes shopping. When you've got a day off work or something, you're like, I'm going to go and treat myself. And you walk around a big shopping centre. You go, what shall I buy? I'm going to treat myself. This is fun. And that is the same online, except you don't have to go to the big shopping centre. You just straight on your mobile phone. But I think those product drops are so important. I guess. How much do you think people need to engage, like I've explained, pre-product drop versus let's just drop the product and chuck it out with some loyalty reward or double points if you buy the new product this week and it's exclusive to you because you're on tier gold or whatever?
Yeah, I guess it's like a statement of intent. So, if you're doing like those, you're sending out those emails, people are opening them, people are clicking through, then you can kind of gauge, right, okay, we're going to get this much attention on this new drop.
Yep.
Same if you're doing that survey, people choosing which one they want. If they've got an opinion on the item, they're more likely to go and buy it. So you can get better conversion on. So yeah, if you release those emails, obviously you're already focusing on a group of customers that have already shown that they're loyal to the brand, they're loyal to the products as well. So the intent is kind of there. By doing the early access, you're kind of making it look like, oh right, this is limited. I've only got a set amount of time here. So yeah, it really does drum up that conversion as well.
Yeah. I've seen brands that time limit thing is just, they've taken to an extreme, which can be really dangerous, I think, where they're like, on sale ends in 12 hours and they got a countdown. So you check it at 1 minute past midnight and you're like, oh, look, another sale. Same discount, same products, the whole range. Yeah, which I do find quite amusing. I saw a really good execution actually of a product where it was, if you can guess what product we're launching, you can get a discount. And what they did is they did a teaser email every week for 6 weeks. They did no other emails out, just anyone that had purchased before and those guys only. And each week they had an image of the product and they would release more pixels of their product until you guessed it. And on day one, it was like you get an 80% discount. And on the very final day, it was down to like a 2% discount or something. But most people, you could work out what the product was. And it was like, you had to type in the box what it was. And someone at their end was going like, wrong. That one's right. There you go. And give them a code with their name on it. You just tick a box and the code gets sent out automatically. Congratulations, you got it right. Please keep it hush hush. But yeah, they deliberately made it impossible until the discount was like 40%. Because then it was like, now we don't mind if someone chucks it on some forum or their LinkedIn or whatever and is like, hey, or Instagram, like these guys are doing a discount with this code today. But I think that's really good for people. And right, so finally, then let's come into land on this question then. What are some of the best executions you've seen? You mentioned 3 earlier. What are some of the best executions of loyalty that you think are going to become more popular coming into 2024, either for people that are starting a loyalty program or people that have already got one? What are some of the campaign execution ideas that you'd go, this has got to be explored by every brand pretty much to try and get better loyalty from their customers?
Yeah, so I think obviously we went through a little bit of a stumble a couple of years ago where the world kind of went a little bit quiet.
It
So
did.
I think as we're getting out in the open, I'd like to see more of a link between like the real world and e-commerce. We've got a couple of brands to say if you're in a loyalty program and you come to a pop-up, you can get like a free beer, you maybe get like a free accessory if you show up. Which is really good because if you're actually going to go out and make the effort to be with the brand, then you're more likely to be a loyal customer. And again, if you've got people in the loyalty program showing up at your pop-ups, helps with conversion on the day.
Nice.
So yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more like things going on in the real world. I know AU Vodka do tons of stuff like that, tons of experiences. So they're really at the forefront of that. So it's also like those are the fun parts. You can do discounts, you can do free products, you can do all of that online, but the actual like fun stuff that you can really like break down the walls, you can be really creative with, always kind of have like an in-person element there.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a really good loyalty one recently that was we're giving everybody a free loyalty point boost. Absolutely everybody. Click here to spin the magic wheel. And that was it. And you click it, it lands on a page, and then you click like spin now. And it all felt a little bit like a casino or some sort of fairground type thing. And you click the button, the wheel spins. And of course you can predefine on the wheel like what the percentage chance of getting each one is. So, the people that are going to get 1 million loyalty points, which is like 5 grand's worth of stuff, only one person's getting that, but then it gives you something to publicize to be like, someone's just won the million, especially if you make it one of the first people that's responded. You can say there's already been a winner of that top one to see if you win. It means, again, they're back on your site. You get some loyalty points. Then all the things we were talking about earlier as well, you can start sending out. I love the in-person stuff as well. I know Brewdog, who I don't know if Brewdog have hit the US market yet, but they're Scottish beer brand that we love here in the UK. I assume they have. But yeah, I got a message on WhatsApp. No, not WhatsApp, sorry. Facebook Messenger one evening just saying like, get a free Brewdog beer. Choose your bar. And I was like, what? And I clicked on it, and across the whole UK, there were bars that had all opted in to doing this, bars and pubs. And I just went like that, and I was like, oh, it's one of my journey home. Excellent. I drop in for a beer so got off the train at a stop, had a free beer, got back on. And also they were only doing it on a new beer that they just launched. And I thought, what a great way to get me to drink your new beer. And I was like, that is good, actually. That is really nice. And then I asked my friends, and a few other people had got it, and we had all actually got different beers. They obviously had some data to know that one of us drinks more lager, one drinks more ale, one's alcohol free. So drinks a lot of, maybe they've ordered on Brewdog before, there's 0% alcohol. So they were given a free pint at the pub of 0% alcohol. And it's like, that was really smart, actually. And I got the new one, which was good. So yeah, I got to try a new beer. But amazing. Well, look, Jason, I really appreciate your time. It's been great to have you on today. Anyone that's been listening and didn't catch Fiona's episode last week, how can they reach out to you guys? Like, what's the best way to get in touch and give Loyalty Line a go?
Yeah, I think best way is just check us out on the website, go to loyaltyline.com, have a little look. We've got case studies, testimonies, and have a little sneak peek of what the actual program looks like. And yeah, have a little look on there.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely check that out, everybody. And the other thing as well is we've got a special offer. So if you're interested in that, either sign up to the Winning with Shopify email, and you'll get that on email, or check the description below if there is a description on whatever platform you're listening to this on. But yeah, Jason, once again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's been great to have you. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. It'd be really awkward if you weren't tuning in. I've made that joke a few times before. But check us out again next Friday. We post every week. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review if you think we're worth that. If we're not, drop us an email and we'll have a quick chat and see what we can do. But thanks so much for tuning in. See you again next week.